how are you? Hey, how are you?
Good to see you again. Okay, we are joined by Iowa coach Jensen and student athletes Taylor Stremlow and Journey Houston. Coach, if you would make an opening statement, and then we'll turn it over to the players.
Well, I'm just really pleased with how we opened up. I think it's always the rub, you know, you're playing, Illinois was playing 3 games in 3 days, but they also had some of that experience. Sometimes when it's your first time, we don't get a shoot around here today due to the timing, but I just really was pleased with how we came out of the shoots. We really knew the scout, and I think our defense set the tone, so I'm just really grateful to get that first win.
All right, let's open up questions for the student athletes. If you'd raise your hand, those of you from the Iowa beat, we'd like to go to you first. Raise your hand if you have a question for either Taylor or Journey.
Okay, Jonah Fry with the Daily Iowan, sorry. Journey, there was a play in that fourth quarter, I believe, where you stole the ball away from Sierra Parchment. Can you tell us about that play?
I really just have the stay ready mindset all the time. We've had to handle a lot of adversity lately with Hannah being out, and so I just really took my role serious today, and I was just ready for all moments.
Okay, second question.
When Illinois starts to get closer in those last final moments, how do you guys stay in the right mindset?
I think like Coach Jan said, you know, that's a great experience for us. Regardless of who's on the floor, we're trying to stay together, stay on the same page, make sure we're looking over at Coach, getting the plays. And I think that group that was out there gave it their all, and they're going to use what they learned today for the following games and all of our postseason games. So great experience for us.
Okay, let's go over to this side.
Jack Maloney, CBS Sports. Taylor, I wanted to ask you about that play late in the second quarter where Chit-Chat kind of dropped it between her legs, and then you threw like a one-hand pass. Can you just kind of walk me through, like, were you expecting her to do that, and just how good did that pass feel?
Yeah, Chat's done that about twice now, so I should have picked up on it a little sooner. I could have made that shot off of it, but it ended up being fine. Got to drop it off to her, and you know those plays are fun. Gotta make sure you complete them. That makes it more fun. But yeah, fun play. Chat's a great player. She made a good play, good layup, so loved it.
Okay, let's go to the back.
Justin Miller, voice of Muscatine. Either of you can answer. The pace from the stands for offense seemed much slower than we're used to watching. Was that the plan coming out or after a lead was established?
I think pushing the pace is something we wanted to do. I think our transition was pretty good coming off from the start of the game. So slowing it down as the game progressed, trying to manage the clock was probably what made it appear a little slower. So definitely a strategic thing, but also want to make sure we continue to push the ball in transition.
Right up front.
Hi, ladies. Brad from W Swish. Can you speak about the X factors that you locked down Illinois' explosive offense for the first 3 quarters?
We really took the scout serious. We kind of struggled with it a bit last game, and so I feel like everybody did a good job studying it and being well prepared for this game.
Okay, let's go back to the back for the last question for the players.
Sean Strohmeyer, Sports Capital Journalism Program here in Indianapolis. You see a sea of black and gold out there. Can either of you guys describe the feeling of seeing your community get behind you like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from the Hawkeye fans. You know, we never take it for granted. They travel wherever we go, and it's really, there's no place like Iowa, and the fans will show up and cheer us on regardless of where in the country, or out of the country even, that we take our squad. So go Hawks.
All right, ladies, you are dismissed. You may go back to the locker room. At this time, we'd like anyone from Iowa who wants to ask Coach Jensen a question. If you'd raise your hand, we'll get you the microphone.
Hi, Jan. Jonah Fry with the Daily Iowan. So obviously 8 days ago you guys played at Illinois, and that was a really close back and forth game. What did you see differently today that went well for you guys?
Well, I thought, you know, back then we weren't quite as sharp defensively. We didn't remember who were drivers and who were shooters. And, you know, this league is really it's just so good. I mean, the 10th seed is Illinois, right? It's, you know, they were also crazy hot that night. I think they hit 9 threes in a row. That's usually not as high of a aspect for them. So they were really good that night. We made some defensive tweaks on how we wanted to handle their 4 and 5. We changed that up a little bit. I also did some switching on occasion with Chit Chat and Kylie. So we just tweaked a little, but I think we remembered who we needed to stunt, who we needed to try not let see the light of day. So I think Journey was right. I think our scout was better, but I do think our staff did a good job going back and watching the film and what we could correct and tweak a little bit. We were able to tone down their inside kids a little better.
Over here.
Jack Maloney, CBS Sports, 20 assists tonight. You're second in the country in assist rate. I'm curious, as a coach, do you feel like, how much is that something that you can kind of instill in your players, or do they need to kind of have that within their being to share the ball?
That's just something, I've been at Iowa now since 2000, and that's just kind of been ingrained, and I think the philosophy we've always had, we just really always celebrate the pass. I think we try to make almost a bigger deal out of the pass on some occasions than the score itself. And, you try to drill it. You're trying to let them know what option 1 and option 2 is. But they're a pretty selfless team, but for the most part. I'd say Chit Chat right to a fault. She just is always, I think she could shoot it about 25 times more a game, I feel. But she really wants to probe and look to hit someone. But it's a little bit by design, but I think it's a little bit about the young women I'm blessed to coach and try to recruit to that, trying to be you try to come here, you want to be a part of it. You're not sure who's going to be the one, but I think if you recruit to come in to be a part of it, it's a pretty fun system to play in.
Okay, second row.
Yes, Coach. Hi, Brad from W Swish. Can you speak about the impact of Ava on the game tonight and just how much she's grown?
Yeah, I'm just really proud of Ava. It was about a year ago where she had a really nice Big Ten tournament and started to show glimpses of what I really thought she could be in the recruiting process. And there's really a nice article in the Des Moines Register, one of our sports beat writers, Chad Leistikow. And Ava was really honest in that interview and talked about how frustrating it was. She wasn't ready to trust the process. But boy, it's a beautiful thing if you coach when all of a sudden the lights kind of go on, even if they're not quite sure that they want to go through steps 1, 2, and 3. They just want to get to 4. And I thought, her impact tonight, what was she? 6 for 7. And her fouls tonight were kind of weird. Even though she had fouls, they were these moving screens. And that is such a subjective call. I believe it was. I thought the refs were great. But it's like, the leg's too wide. She's, her knee was out. I can send in about 12 other clips during the course of the year, So I'm happy that it's that type of foul tonight, because that I can say, okay, do not move, make your legs as narrow as possible. But I just thought it was a really well-played game. I thought she changed the game when she was in there.
Okay, we'll go to the back and then come back up here to the third row. Go ahead.
Justin Miller, voice of Muscatine. Can you speak to the game plan for defense going forward with Hannah coming back injured today? Ava, 6 blocks today.
Yeah, well, number one, I just want to shout out Hannah Stuelke. I told our local media on Wednesday, I think was my last presser, Hannah has not played, has not come to practice barely since the Illinois game when she got hurt. And then 2 days ago, she got that virus stuff that everybody has going around. And our training, a shout out to Andrea Chilcote and our med team. The elbow injury, a lot of wrestlers get it. And so she went over to the wrestling complex and really talked to the trainers about all the different ways to tape the elbow. And Hannah just the swelling was so much. So on Wednesday, she wasn't even in the gym. And so then we left on Thursday, and she was also not feeling well. So it just didn't look good. She couldn't even have shot it. So we found a good mechanism of taping this morning, and she looked really good at shoot around. So as she told me, she had a lot of people praying for her, and I agree. I was too.
Final question for Coach.
Jake Bedell, WAND TV. Coach, I'm curious to see what you saw from your team. 36 points in the paint this evening. What did you see in the early phases of the matchup that allowed you guys to get so much inside presence this evening and exploit some of that from the Illini defense?
Yeah, I think from the first game, we had a pretty good inside presence, so I knew unless they changed things drastically, we should be looking in there. And, it's kind of an interesting matchup because they're 4 and 5. I mean, how good is Parchment, right? A freshman, and Barry Wallace is as good as they come. But they're a 4 and a 5 that can shoot threes and do guard actions, and so we have to defend that. They can also post up. But we spend a lot more of our time doing the post up. So if we can get an advantage in there, you kind of have to defend and not give up too many threes because you're getting twos. But I thought our angles were pretty good. I thought the first 35 minutes, I think this game was really great. And then, the end of it, I just wanted to make sure my locker room held because it was a really good game. The last 5 minutes, that just happens if they leave their people in and you're going with some of yours to get some rest. So I just told them, hopefully that experience is gonna come in handy if we get to keep playing deep in April. But I did like the matchup on that high-low.
Coach, want to thank you, wish you good luck, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Sounds great. Very thankful for that. God bless.